going on YouTube? Wavy back. Ah, my Middle Earth family. We're back. I apologize. I know it's been a good little bit. Obviously, I have been extremely busy on this channel, and as much as I hate to say it, I can't really promise that my consistency with these is going to be too much better moving forward. Obviously, that's not to say it's because of a lack of trying by any means. It really does just come down to an energy thing, and really just finding the time for editing something like this, since I'm now like on not a strict schedule, but I like to keep myself, ahead of pace. So I'm already working on like next week's stuff when the current week is happening, so it's just a lot of stuff stacked on top of another. But long story short, I've rather just been neglectful, and that's on me. But we're here today. Not totally sure episode wise how many this is going to be. I have two options that I'm looking to go down. Option one, this video is either going to be our first option is this video is either going to be really short and approximately, it's only like 4 videos long, just because that's just how the playlist would be structured, or you're going to see me change outfits in the middle of this, and we are just going to tack on a second recording session to this one just to make the video longer as a whole. I'm not entirely sure yet. Obviously, you'll be able to tell by how long this video is. If it's 20 minutes, it's probably just option one. If it's more like 40 minutes to an hour, probably option two. But yeah, I think today, for the most part, it's looking like miniatures and Weta'S workshop stuff again, at least for this first portion. So, of course, naturally very excited. Getting to see anything with the bigatures, miniatures, that stuff is just obscenely cool. So, really looking forward to it. But with all that being said, if you are interested in checking out the uncut and unedited reaction to this Appendices video or anything else on this channel, there's a $1 tier on our Patreon or a $5 for everything and above. Feel free to check that link out down below. Totally up to you. Totally okay if not. But as always, feel free to leave a like. Feel free to leave a comment. Let me know what you thought about this episode. What else you want me to check out here on the channel. And as always, subscribe if you're new. It's totally free. You can always take it back later if you change your mind. But I'd love if you stuck around. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, let's jump right back into the Two Towers Appendices.
I think to be a good modeler, you have to be a born storyteller. If you know the story, if you know how old a building is, then there's many things you can do to explain that visually.
Yeah.
To put a lineage into a series of architectural structures.
Helm's Deep was actually the first thing to
Make it feel like
it was
an actual timeline
part of the
just to
second film.
the sets.
The 35th scale miniature of Helm's Deep was really one of the very first things that we ever built for Lord of the Rings.
It was my birth year.
Back in the day, I'd occasionally take a video camera around and do a little presentation for Harvey and Bob Weinstein.
So here we are in Helm's Deep. This model will be used for the animatics, but it will also be used for the movie too. We'll be filming wide shots. Now, as you can see, the model's not finished. It's still got to be painted, and a lot of detailing has to happen.
It's crazy they had that already going 3 years prior.
It stood 7 meters tall. It measured about 20 meters square.
Jeez.
Scale that we did on the Helm's Deep miniature.
Can barely even call it a miniature.
Industrial grade tinfoil, and then by very carefully crumpling it, build the same detail that you get in huge mountainsides and cliffs.
And elves along these walls firing arrows down.
Dude, knowing that's a miniature,
Weeks with all these little toys.
man.
Which was actually the reason why we built the miniature at 35th scale, because you could buy plastic toy soldiers, little knights in armor to use.
That's smart.
Get a feel for that. Of course, a few turned out to be, I think, around 40,000. And
Oh my god.
And at the time, we all thought, God, this is madness. But in actual fact, there was a method to it. And
Yeah, it's genuinely that's a smart idea. Having the realistic to scale size.
I don't even know where they are right now, but I can't wait. Maybe I can get my hands on a few of them when the show's over.
Well, of course, as happens in every minute of this movie, all the long shot models immediately get shot from about 3 inches away. It's inevitable.
Very ironic.
And if you pressed very carefully into the urethane foam, it left an impression of the brick. You would then get the effect of very slightly deeper or raised stones.
That's
now
cool.
we had our small, and it was like about
Damn.
50 feet wide. You could actually crouch down and walk through the main gate.
The amount of work put into this, and
make it work so
it's only one part of the movie. Yeah, like, dude, I can't gas it up enough. Like, the thing I think that has really just taken hold of me throughout these behind the scenes is obviously I was aware, and well, I know even like when I was watching it that I had said something along the lines of like, I know most of the movie is probably practical, but I'm sure like a lot of the landscape shots and whatnot were like maybe not CG, but like green screen or like blue screen as they used it. And so that was like my assumption, because, you know, I would think, how would somewhere like Rivendell or Lothlorien be real, or Helm's Deep? But to know that what I was actually seeing was real man-crafted material and set pieces that were built, even just like miniatures, and the quarter scale version that they had is like I don't even know how to express
at the very end
the admiration I have for something like that.
Of course, the big moat got in there and basically packed the wall full of charges and blew it all to pieces, and of course covered with many cameras so they could the thing about an explosion of that kind is that it's basically a one-time shot.
Yeah, you only have one take. All the CG people added on as well looks so good. Baradu.
Ungodly Gothic cathedral, arrogant and slightly uncomfortable.
It's very Gothic. Feels like something you'd see like Frankenstein.
That was one of the illustrations
like Van
that Peter
Helsing.
and Fran, because I'd never come to terms with actually depicting the summit of the tower. I started to put another sheet next to the top of that, went on up with no idea how high this tower would actually be.
Barad-dûr was truly a bigatcher. I think ultimately it measured 27. We had to make it in sections because we couldn't completely stand it up because it would hit the roof. A very difficult miniature to build ultimately.
It's so hilarious to call something like that a miniature, which I mean it is obviously, but
scale for shooting as close as Peter wanted to would have
that's
to build
just so
it
crazy.
around 10th scale, meaning the miniature would have to be over 200 foot tall.
Oh God.
Ultimately, we built it at 166th scale.
That's 166th scale, huh?
And there's lots of metalwork too. You can see areas where there's a brick wall, and then there's sort of metal that have built a bit, and then that lot have died or left, and somebody else starts another bit, and it looks like it's built by someone else.
That's cool. You can see the continuation.
To move a camera around something that smaller scale is a bit of a trick, really, because it's not going to look real.
The only process that would bring this to life is micro-detailing.
Micro-detailing, and I mean, couldn't you, I don't know if it would really even have a difference using like a smaller camera.
That would hold up in shots that at times are only 2 inches off the surface of the miniature.
Jeez.
It's not quite as user-friendly as you might think, because of course the light that's beautiful from one side is very flat from the other side. As we
Have a rotating light with it.
We had to move the key light around, so we're going from one key light to the next, so that it always keeps the tower in backlight.
That's so neat.
Is that the Numenorians have actually left so many structures which are more or less intact.
A lot of remaining history.
They built to keep evil in Mordor. And Peter at one point wanted to show that, and I really disagreed. From a defensive point of view, you wouldn't expose a piece of important machinery like that.
That's very true. If any sort of like vulnerability, you would want to be hidden away on the inside.
The wheels have been covered again by these triangular metallic blades.
That's smart. Smart cover up for it.
occasion though where we realised the writing had influenced the design, and then they got the script out and sure enough there was a typo. I'd just written gates, I'd done plural. It was quite embarrassing. You know, it is described as one gate. You know, gate, whether it was just a title, could signify, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you can really read that as either way.
Here we are, and this is made by step and repeat. You carve one really perfect spike.
That shit looks sharp as hell.
This gate was shot at really high magnification, which is relatively rare.
Yeah.
We normally try to not over-magnify these things because it's extremely hard to...
I would have figured that you would need to, just because of what they had mentioned before with the details.
Now this whole thing's built out of sheets of iron that have been hammered out by hand by the orcs. Here you can see some of the little lead plates that have been finished out to represent the iron plating.
That's so cool.
Little fine rows of rivet holes that have been embossed with a pounce wheel to represent the nails.
Dude. And that's not even something that you would literally ever notice in the movie. You just, that's not something that you're gonna like take note of.
It means that everything,
but they do it anyways.
Ultra cross and stabilize it, because otherwise it'd be just a slight shimmer, which when the camera's only that far away, it shows up as a huge earthquake.
Yeah, that would not look good in film.
So all the vistas basically had to be done in miniature. Those were trees that are about between 5 and 6 feet tall.
Those pictures are gorgeous. It's just a set.
Scrutiny, and you were basically about the size that Treebeard would be when you were walking through this miniature forest.
Weta 60 feet by 60 feet. We've got 150 trees approximately.
John Harding. I haven't seen you before.
The main trunks are about 80-year-old gorse.
Interesting.
It's the most twisted, contorted, evil-looking trunks that you could ever find.
She looks painful to have around the house, or outside your house.
And then all the branches sort of, curl over, create this sort of cathedral-like space, which is
an
actually
archway.
Fangorn Forest ultimately looked very beautiful, and it feels like a completely realistic forest.
It does. It literally felt like a real forest that they were walking through, and I thought it was.
We basically had 2 sets. We had a 50th scale set that represented about a third of the city. For example, where the Nazgul flies over. A major part of our Osgiliath shooting involved putting backgrounds behind live shots.
It's a lot easier to build a complete tower and knock holes in it than try and build a tower with holes in it.
Of course, some of the buildings
understandable. Yeah.
Of the river, which
probably a bit easier when you can
some of the buildings are on the
pick which spots look weakest.
Well, that was a shot that was kind of in and out of the movie for quite a while, and finally Peter said, "Yes, of course we have to have a rock hitting a building." We said,
"Of course."
As an effect shot, we're just going to smash a building with a rock.
Hell yeah!
So Paul Van Omen built the building. Moritz, our on-stage engineer, built a spring-powered catapult. We built a concrete rock.
Built the catapult for it.
It's easier to just do something practically than it is to try to do it after the fact with.
It's also going to be way more fun.
Just think of all that dust and flying debris that you would have had to animate that we got right there on the camera first time out.
Exactly. How'd they do this?
We knew that there was going to be a huge amount of miniature work done on it, but nobody wanted to face the fact that it had to happen.
That was really late. It was like literally about August.
Just procrastinating.
And we were releasing the film in December. That we realized, my God, we better get this attack on Isengard sorted out.
Yeah, it might be a good idea.
And he asked Christian Rivers and myself and Alex Funky to try to create an animatic for it.
And basically we just got a DV camera, some little ant puppets, and we just came up with some shots.
And it was very funny and very crude, but it basically had all the beats that happened. And Peter actually cut his...
Holy shit, it's so realistic.
He said, "Now this
I love how they're showcasing water, like plastic bags.
We actually replicated several of those shots for the final film. Give us a framework so that we could start breaking down what was going to be required.
And then it became a race against time to actually shoot that.
Yeah, we're indeed on a bit of a time crunch.
Don't think you can do it, sort of walk out now, and if you don't do it and you say you can do it, you know that you won't be walking back in again, sort of thing.
Understandable though.
2 huge dump tanks designed that were using shipping containers and had explosive bolts on the front door in order to release this water on cue. Fired it, and this huge batch of water hit the back of it.
Jeez, that was sick.
It just went through like a giant sieve.
Yeah.
The wall did not fall down at all. It rode it.
That was pretty embarrassing because Peter Jackson came down and Barry Osborne came down and about 100 people from
that is
special
awkward.
effects all came down to watch it, and it didn't burst.
Yeah.
Ed in the art department hollowed out a lot of the bricks on the back side. So from the front, it still looked the same.
Interesting, just to make them weaker.
So the second time we did it, we were able to do
There
very
you go.
spectacular bursts through the front.
Sick. That's so cool. It's definitely a good thing that they had a backup immediately ready.
You know, I'm thankful that Pete was like, no, we really need this sequence. This is really that important.
Yeah, I think it definitely added an extra layer of getting to see it. This isn't something that I wanted to just have completely skipped over. They already skipped over the majority of it.
Everything has to be believable. Everything has to be convincing. And miniature is a major part of that because you can have...
Yeah. They fooled me.
And the miniature almost always will be more convincing.
I have to agree. I don't even know. It was a little 2-minute video. I think there's like another small one after this one too. It's just their like crude little mock-up. Just got some random ass twigs. How's he going? That's so creative. And the rivets bursting. That's so funny. That just looks so impressive, man. All the detail. What the hell? Is this like filmed in reverse? Oh my goodness. What's this? Oh, it's just like a side-by-side. It really was pretty beat for beat, I'm not gonna lie. They did a really good job showcasing what they were looking for. Or what they were going for, essentially. Some good direction. That drawing of Treebeard was crazy. I look so shocked. It's like... What an absolutely awful way to go. Carried away with a rush of water into a pit in the earth. Good lord. Alright, and now we have our Weta's Digital Workshop episode video.
And we were not sure exactly how many shots we were going to get, but we knew it was going to be more than film 1.
Yeah, makes sense.
Besides Gollum, you had Treebeard, all digital. You had Helm's Deep, 99% digital.
Yeah.
Counting the months, I'm going, oh my god, you know, is this, can we do this? And I know, obviously I know the answer, it has to be yes.
Yeah, I don't really have a, there's not exactly another option.
We tripled the amount of
either do it or the
and we
movie's
quadrupled
scrapped.
the processing power.
Gandalf
Shit.
plummeting down the chasm with the Balrog is only in the
Such an
movie
insane
because
opening sequence.
of a painting. Whoa, this is amazing. We've got to put this in the film.
Dude, that art is crazy.
What you're left with is this kind of half skeletal,
Dude.
eaten away form of the Balrog.
We ultimately just cut it out because it was sort of for budgetary reasons, really. I seem to remember it was just
That would have been so sick. What?
for what was only going to amount to a very few shots in the film.
I would have loved to see that.
The Balrog should be falling out, Gandalf should be falling out, and I think Peter's general comment was faster, faster, faster.
He just wants that action pack.
He actually travels 5 kilometers just in a single shot.
Really?
You can, you know, actually grab rather than just sort of sitting on the blue screen totem pole.
That looks crazy.
And then you just come back to this wide shot and you just see this speck sort of floating down.
I did a drawing.
Gorgeous.
Visually, it is so exciting, and I think that has to be one of the most powerful openings for a movie.
Oh yeah.
It goes so far beyond that little picture I did that there's practically no relationship between.
Dude, I also just have to say, it has to just, like, as a concept artist, it has to just feel so vindicating and just empowering, getting a concept given to you and you coming up with, you know, the art for the concept, and just like immediately being told like, oh yeah, that's the one. And then not only that, getting to see the vision that you have in your mind that you can only do with, like, you know, physical sketching, get put into reality in a way like this with CG, to make it like, to physically see your drawing come to life just has to be so cool.
One of the really worrying shots that was turned over to us for film 2 was the shot of Legolas leaping up onto the horse at the start of the ROTK sequence.
That shit looked really good.
You know, I'd love to say that shot was very carefully planned and it was the way it was supposed to be, but it was actually arrived at by total accident, a total fluke.
How? What happened that day is Orlando broke his rib falling.
Oh, that was the day he broke that shit?
We had rehearsed something for that.
Really?
That leap up onto the horse. We'd rehearsed it. So I just literally did this.
He tries to see how many drop jaws he can get out of one of these turnovers. Because, oh, here's just a little shot where we just need to add Legolas jumping onto this horse. And everybody will sit there in dead silence and look at each other like, what does he mean?
Okay,
that's so funny.
The fact that the animation completely worked, that has made that shot very successful.
No, like that genuinely looks really good.
There basically was these
Yeah,
plates,
them having to
Rohan just
figuring out what they were going to be
battlefield, sort of
doing
Monty
with the wargs.
you know, packing at nothing.
I chopped together bits of these background plates.
This would have been like really funny to see as a bystander passing by.
If this is a shot of these horses doing this, what could the wargs actually be doing?
You got to work around what you have.
That we could make those actions.
You just got to try and do shit that can look semi-realistic.
Going on digitally, may not realize just how complex it was for us.
Yeah, you really do have to, like, I always see with stuff like this, they have to start with like the skeletal structure, muscle, so that you can get the realistic look.
And almost wipe the camera out. So punctuations, I call them, and
punctuations
here and there, just to kind of jazz it all up.
That's cool. I like attention grabbers.
Horrifying moments when you look at it and you think to yourself, what is this? You know, because it's basically 5 of the model shop guys like making this thing walk like a giant tree, and that's exactly what it looked like. It looked like this.
That's where you just have faith in your co-workers.
It's very hard to articulate the face on that kind of
Yeah.
animatronic.
Looks great, but it looks like a puppet.
Let's say we just do the mouth part, you know, and just have the mouth moving. And
but that will lead you past Isengard.
So good.
Did a full
I wonder how long it would take just to make
the same sort of approach as Gollum.
How long it took them just to make the model.
Treebeard's head is the most complex thing we rendered on film 2.
Like getting all the details of the crevices and everything and hollowing it out.
To render a single frame.
Wait. You say how long?
Gollum would take, I don't know, typically 8 minutes a frame. Treebeard could easily take 48 hours to render a single frame.
8 minutes to 48 hours is crazy difference.
We tried to animate it in an almost stop motion-esque jerky way. And you actually get a feeling that he hasn't moved in a long time.
Oh, yeah. Him loosening.
So we have fully CG characters. Now you're going to notice. And that has to feel like naturalistic movement.
Yeah. That's another really small detail that is very impressive of them to take note of.
Going to amount to an entire forest full of Ents.
We got sketches from Alan Lee on how he thought they should look. You know, there's 8 different species that we were to
That's
model.
so cool. All the different types. I love seeing creature stuff like that.
Developed a piece of code that he called Grove. Each of the digital models with a variation of foliage of different lengths and
oh, that's
leaves.
sick. That's creative as hell.
Do vignettes and to come up with ideas for the battle.
Because you will get some extreme versions.
That'd be fun just to get to mess around with.
Yes.
They're like, yeah, just
kicked around.
You know, put together some footage of the Ents absolutely whooping ass or getting their asses whooped. That'd be so fun. Just to experiment, do different things.
Throw termites at them, whatever the hell they do, right?
Throw termites at them is crazy.
Through the head of an orc like a bottle and pop it off.
I mean, some of them.
That's insane.
To make it into the film at times, but they are in there, and
Oh my God.
they come from a
But for the most part,
That's so fun.
for the breakout of what we were doing, the subtleties of it, just go with.
God.
You know, he'll go for the gag. You know, if it's
Absolutely. His horror history. I'm sure he loves stuff like that.
We thought that we were going to be doing a remake of King Kong.
His 2005 one.
Individual person or agent is the term that you'll hear used.
That's so cool. Knowing the stuff like this really was like being utilized this long ago is so crazy. This is what we would consider good AI usage, you know, in media.
We're real, and in the real world you see and you hear.
Stuff like this.
Pick an agent.
Things that don't take jobs but make jobs easier. Because I mean, it's not like we were ever gonna get 10,000 extras playing orcs at Helm's Deep, you know.
Based on his vision.
Each one of these guys can hear what's around them, so they can react up, or if they hear clanking armor, they turn around.
Sound in Massive is a virtual representation of sound rather than the real thing, of course.
We can how far that sound carries, so we know that anyone inside that circle can hear that agent.
Or if we've dialed the intelligence down, I'm blocking you low. One of the later tests
That's so crazy.
that we saw to know the pitch of the terrain around him and make decisions based on that pitch.
Dude.
They're usually fairly simple decisions, like move forward, move backward.
But still.
If there's an enemy in front of them that's attacking them, they can execute a defensive move.
That is so impressive.
Once he's in the simulation and he's doing it all together, it would then become something like this.
It's so neat.
That, 10, 20, 30,000 different guys.
The processing power you would need for that many. I can't believe we even had a computer strong enough to run something like this that wouldn't blow up.
There was some little guys in the distance running for the hills.
And it was at that point that we thought we had written a genuinely intelligent program.
Yeah, dude, what? I know that they've obviously talked about this before, but
away from all the enemies at the start, and they were running.
It's
So
interesting
silly.
and cool but if you were, for instance, Peter Jackson on a set with 60,000 extras, you wouldn't really expect to walk onto the set and put them all on a hillside and say,
You
okay,
wouldn't be
fight,
able to.
and expect to get compelling action.
It just isn't realistic, you know?
Too much green, they'll turn a little bit towards the right to stay on the causeway. If they start to run on some blue, they'll start to turn to the left.
Just to keep them in line.
And leg length and arm length. And basically
The fact that it's so customizable as well is just insane.
They all have a unique look about them, and they're all different proportions.
Getting the concept was that the massive controlled soldiers would really be just the background soldiers, that you'd always be using, 1 or 200 extras.
Yeah, I'm sure that would be the initial plan.
And they had to come really close to camera.
This is the first time we had full frame Massive, which they were never ever supposed to do.
It was a testament to the reality of the software that their movement looked very, very
did look
realistic,
very
and
real.
also going right past the camera up close through the foreground.
It looks so good.
There's so many different ways that Helm's Deep is realised in the film. Which was built on the quarries.
The quarter, the mini.
They would start becoming virtual simply because it didn't exist out there in reality.
I suppose that makes
There's
sense.
a couple of shots where the Theoden and it's got Aragorn walking across the top, but all that was built of Helm's Deep was just the
Amazing
top
camera
portion.
work.
Well, that bit down below and those people, they're all digital. So
Really?
Helm's Deep going back
Damn.
down there.
We had to reconstruct the miniature.
Damn.
The first big Helm's Deep CG shot we did was one that we wanted to create
The
for a
siege.
teaser trailer.
It was the worst plate imaginable.
This shot was just intended to show Peter what it would look like to do a shot like this.
He ended up using it?
And there was no intention to ever use this shot. It had too much junk in the frame.
That's hilarious.
The way, that big hole in the wall shouldn't be there, so can we kind of like patch up that hole now? So they sort of looked at me, I think, like I was mad, because I said,
Yeah, they're like
3 or 4 weeks.
They're like, why?
Had to basically repaste everything in that shot except the camera move.
My God.
And just saying to Weta, listen, I know you're going to kill me, you're going to hate me for this, But I really,
they probably
really
felt that way quite
need
often.
Another 6 or 7 big Helm's Deep shots.
6 or 7, huh?
Told me names. You know, the most spectacular shots of Helm's Deep that
they really came to play. I ain't gonna lie. Weta,
in that last 6 or 7 weeks.
Man, I can't even begin to imagine what this movie would have been like without them.
Think of a battle scene that sort of matches the scope of it.
Yeah.
How do you make that look real with CG characters and a model? And they pull it off.
Yeah, they were just incredible.
We ended up in
I've
London.
been there.
We should have been there for about 4 or 5. They would be sending the images down the net over the sort of internet, or what's called the fat pipe. I don't quite know what the fat pipe is. It sounds
I don't think I do either.
Helpful.
They were FaceTiming early as hell.
But it stops like a mile short of Peter's house, of where it was. Cause,
that's so unlucky.
These 2 big guys coming the other direction saw me.
Oh God.
And he was carrying the Weta images for the 2 towers, kind of like in his jacket, and faster.
And I broke into a run, and they started chasing me down the street.
Oh God.
Hotel, kind of panting and sweating, having saved the Weta images from the London underworld.
The London underworld.
It was all done in real time. There was no lag or delay, and they actually made the meeting.
They didn't have them breathing down their necks.
About 73 minutes of effects.
Oh my God.
I mean, it's almost a complete film.
Yeah.
You know, you could not take one more shot and then he'd add about 20 more shots. You know, it's one of those things.
Peter often thinks that it's hilarious when he turns these incredibly difficult shots over to us. I've been there when he's
I bet he does, because he doesn't have to work on them.
Said gleefully, I think this shot's going to take you guys a long time to do. This is going to be a really tough one. So he relishes in the
goddamn dickhead.
To me, of a pioneer is this crazy guy who says, "Let's go over there."
It's going to be a lot of work, but I can promise you it's going to be worth it.
But Weta will be able to do it. We always have been able to in the past. I mean, Weta somehow always pulled through and was able to accomplish what was necessary to get the job done.
And what an amazing group of people, dude. Wow. All right, ladies and gentlemen. With that, this episode of our Behind the Scenes Appendices concludes. This was just another amazing episode. I want to say that this is like episode 15 now. It's 15 or 16, but this was just a great time. Getting to see more of the miniatures and then into Weta. That's like 2 of my biggest fanboy aspects of these movies. There's just so much that can be said in terms of admiration and adoration that there is to be had for these movies, and just the processes that they went through. Like, in terms of digital effects, it's like they said, this was a pioneering aspect. This was a pioneering journey, and they came to play for every movie, for every scene, for every cut. They were just beyond fantastic. The miniatures, I already stated it previously, that shit blows my mind. Absolutely insane to look at what some of the shots now that originally I thought were like visual effects being real human man-made things. It's just insane. That's really all there is to be said about it. It's insane. But as always, loved the shit out of this episode. I just love getting to watch these with you guys. I hope you enjoy, as always. But if you're interested, feel free to check out the Patreon link down below for the unedited versions to this video. As always, feel free to leave a like. Feel free to leave a comment. Let me know what you thought about this episode and what else you want me to check out here on the channel. And subscribe if you're new. It's totally free. You can always take it back later if you change your mind. But I'd love if you stuck around. Until next time, my Middle-earth friends, I love ya, and I will see you next time.